Hi guys, you're welcome to the 10th and final session of this series of building AI agents with CrewAI. So in this session, we are going to be looking at building a final solution, which is going to be like a full system that wraps up everything we've been talking about so far together. So that's basically what we are going to be looking at right in this session. So to start with, like we've always done over the last 10 sessions, I'm going to be sharing my screen to take us through, what we have on the slideshow. Okay, so here we have, we are building everything all together. We are going to be, for example, in this session, what we are going to be looking at is for each of the 9 sessions we've built so far, each of them is like a building block. And this session is just, wrap everything together. And if you can remember from what we've been working on so far, we've looked at, a file reading researcher, that is the FileReadTool, tool to be able to, have access to, local files on your computer. We've also been able to look at a change analyst, right? The references each other. We've been able to look at a writer, an editor with the custom tool, dynamic input, and a saved output file. So this is the real CrewAI. This is what building such kind of agent looks like. So in this session, the learning objectives is that by the end of this session, you'll be able to combine the FileReadTool, the context chaining, the custom art tool. I mean, the way we write our custom tools, also the dynamic input into one single Crew. They'll also be able to architect a 4-stage pipeline. The research, analyze, write, and edit pipeline. You'll also be able to, pass a dynamic, edition per input run. Then also you'll be able to, save a polished newspaper to a disk with quality score. Now, the concept of what we are building is this. You're going to be building a production Crew. Okay, so the idea is this. A production Crew rarely uses just one feature. You rarely see an agent that is just built with a single feature, right? So this system, reads a file. It chains 4 tags with context. It also uses a custom tool, right, which we are going to build ourselves for reading time estimation, and also takes an edition, right, takes an edition input and saves into an output file. So each of these is something we built over the last 9 series. And that's what we are going to be assembling together in this session to really show, the essence of what we have learned so far. So this is what the architecture is going to look like. We have the input file here, right, which is the news.txt. We have the research read tool, the read tool, FileReadTool tool that enables us to read file from our local computer. And that's what's going to be reading the news.txt file. Then also we are going to be having the context, which is what's going to be analyzing. They're also going to be able to write and then also edit using our custom tools. And those are the tools, right? Then we pass that into the Crew, 4 agents with their respective tasks, to give us a nice output. So the anatomy of the code is, like I mentioned, we are going to be using some tools, the inbuilt tool, which is the FileReadTool, and also our own custom tools. We're also going to, create 4 agents with their 4 tags. We are going to also chain context chain forward, right? We are going to chain, the context, forward as they propagate in delivering their output. And then also we are going to be having the, dynamic input as well. And then we're also going to be having a polished output file. So what we are going to be doing here is this. So this is supposed to be your capstone project, which is to write a polished newsletter with catchy subjects, warm intro, 3-story section, sign off plus quality score. You estimate X/10 and estimating time reading. So what we are going to be building is we are going to build a Lagos Tech weekly pipeline end-to-end using news1.txt, researcher, analyst, writer, editor, and the reading time tool. So building a Lagos Tech weekly pipeline is what we are going to be doing. And some int issue, going forward, you're going to be, look at the start from output and work backwards. So what does the final file need? So you should think about the output. What's the output that we are delivering? I mean, that's what should be in the mind of an engineer. What does the final output look like? break what the final output look like into segments, and then you know what to assemble to be able to accomplish that task. Then also sketch the task graph on paper before coding. So yeah, it's very important. Now, before you start coding, sketch what you want to do. You know, once you've gotten the idea of what the output should look like, then you can start thinking of, sketching each of the agents that makes those outputs deliver. Then also, you should test each agent in isolation when changing them. So yes, very important. You know, since each of these agents rely on one another, for you, you don't want to have a situation where one of the agents breaks. When an agent breaks, it's affect the quality of the output because it does not deliver to the next agent that is going to be picking. So it's most likely going to be hallucinating or picking out of context. So you need to ensure that each of these agents are delivering their respective output before changing them. Then we're also going to parameterize early. Anything likely to change, addition file name should be a variable. Yes, anything that is going to change, right? You should, ensure that you make them a variable early so that it's dynamic in that way for change. So some of the common errors which you can also look like, then let's get right into the code. So let's get right into the coding. So like I mentioned in this session, what we are going to be building is a Lagos newsletter file. Now to start with, like we've always done over the last 9 series, we are going to import required libraries. Right? Now the import OS. We say from CrewAI import agents to process agents to process and task. Okay, then you also have LLM, right? Don't forget LLM for embedding. Then we also have the tool, which is the FileReadTool we'll be using. So say from CrewAI tools. So yes, after importing the required libraries that we need, don't forget we are going to invoke the .env function. Then define our model. So don't forget that we are going to be reading a file in our in our computer, which is the news1.txt. So I've been able to get the news1.txt. I'm going to be showing it right here. So here is it. Right, so you can see this is story 1, story 2, and story 3 from news1.txt. Right, so we are going to be passing that in, so you see news 1 dot. Right, now we are going to be defining a custom tool here. Okay, name of the tool is going to be don't forget that I've mentioned that, when defining a tool, we have this doc string here. So this doc string is what is being passed, is what the LLM sees to know exactly, what each of these tool is for. And this is where it derives the information to be able to know which tool does it call for what task. Okay. Text splits, right? So since you have text here, so the complete number of words, all right, and also number of minutes. So round, okay. Right now. So this is what we are doing here. So for this function takes in the text as string, right? So you can see that this text will split it. So we assume that each word, okay, because when you are writing, for example, each word will followed by a space in between, right? So we assume that each word is a text, right? So I mean that's how we calculate number of words. For example, we want to know number of words that you have here. Yeah, for example. So you count number of items before the space, before the empty space in between. So that's what we'll do. Then also, we are trying to estimate reading time to be 200 words per minute, right? 200 words per minute. So if we have maybe 1,000 words, the estimated reading time is going to be 1,000 divided by 200, and then we get number of minutes, right? Number of minutes, there is going to be number of minutes it takes to read that 1,000. That's basically that. So that's that about the minutes. Then what we are returning is formatted string. that says word count. Okay, words. Then we have estimated reading time use. Minutes. Uh, minutes. Right. Good. So now we define a task. So don't forget in task we have description. Sorry, we have role. So this is an agent, it's not a task. It's supposed to be. We should have an agent first before a task. So we define an agent, right? Role. So this agent is going to be Nigerian tech news researcher. Okay. Then the goal is to okay, so here is the backstory. Yeah, a sharp tech journalist based in Lagos who reads newspaper and extract with important fact figures and implications from his story. So yeah, that's that. Then the LLM that powers this is Gemini, right? Gemini model. Then tools. Um, uh, okay, the role go backstory. And then tools and things. So don't forget that this is reading the news from this FileReadTool, which is the news reader. So that's the reason why I passed this to here. And that's basically that. So that's the first agent, the researcher. The next agent is going to be the analyst. There we go. Okay, so the next agent you're writing here is the writer. So for the last agent, business impact analysis. So here we have analyzed the business and economic impact of Nigerian tech news. So there's the backstory, the LLM, the variables, right? So the next one is going to be the writer. So also write the role is going to be uh, okay. So this is the third agent. Oh, sorry, this is the fourth agent, the editor. So you can see its role is senior editor, polish the newsletter, score its quality, and estimate the reading time. The reading time, right? So here you have back. Okay, so I'm going to add the backstory here. Then also you have tools. Wait. Now that we are done writing the four agents that we need. So if you look at this, for example, something that is very important for me to mention is that in this last agent, you see I added estimated reading time. Why? Because we've told it the goal is to polish the newspaper, score its quality, and then estimate the reading time. So how does it do that? It calls this particular tool. So that's the reason why this is being passed into it to call. So now we are going to now define the necessary tasks. So the first one we are going to be writing is the research task. Okay, so here you have read the news1.txt file, right? So I think we have news1 here, not just news. Read the news1.txt file. Extract key facts from all three stories. From each story, notes what happened, who is involved, and why it matters. This is for edition, right? So you're going to do that. So that's the description. And the next thing is the expected output, right? So we have the expected outputs. The expected outputs, minutes. The expected output is supposed to be a 3 business impact analysis, right? Three per story, 2 to 3 sentences. We have agents equals analysts. So the agent here should be researcher, not right. So the idea is the expected output is supposed to be 3 clearly summarized news stories from key facts extracted, right? So that's that about the first task. So the second task is going to be analysis. Analysis. So here you are supposed to say, using the research, analyze the business impact of each of the story. Each of the story for Nigerian businesses. Businesses. The expected output here is supposed to be 3. Uh, right? Yeah, analyst, capital E, right? Okay, so yes, that's that about the analysis task. So now the third one is going to be writing task. Okay. For the writing description, I'm just going to put it here. Right. So here you have write the edition of Lagos, maybe the third edition or fourth or whatever edition of Lagos State Weekly. Use the research analysis to craft the engaging newsletter with catchy subject line, warm intro, 3 sections, and closing sign off. So that's that. Then the expected output is this. A complete newsletter ready for publication. So it's a complete newsletter ready for publication. Ready for publication, right? This agent equals to then we have context. Context is searcher, that task, analysis task. Yes. Context, right? Searcher, researcher. Or let's say research is research task, not researcher task. Analysis task. Good. Right. So just one task left, which is the editing task. So I hope you get this right. So then the next one we have left here is editing task. So we have this description. Just like you are going to be having it elsewhere. So I'm just going to paste that here. Then the next thing is so that's that. Okay, so that's that about the description. Then the expected output is also quality score, reason, estimated time, minutes, right? So now that we've done that, so the next thing is the agent. The agent that is handling this, right? The agent handling this is the editor. right? Where the context is writing task. And then also we have the output file. Don't forget that this is going to be the last task. So, and we are writing it to a particular file. So the output file is going to be a newsletter 3.txt. Right? So that's the about the 4 agents. Now the next thing after defining all our agents is the crew. Like they've always done. Inside our crew, we list our agents. What are the agents we have so far? We have researcher, analyst, writer, and editor, right? So you say researcher, analyst, writer, editor. Then the tasks. List them. So you say research, task, analyst, task, writer, writing task. Okay, writing task. And editor, editing task. Right? Editing task. Okay, so that's that. Then also the process. Don't forget, in this case, it's going to still be sequential. Why? Because you are not really delegating. The agent is not deciding which agent to delegate tasks to, right? Then the variables here as well also has to be true, so you can see the thought process of the agent. So yeah, basically that's agents, task, process, and variables. Okay. And the next thing is results equals crew.kickoff. Right. So within that, you are going to impute the edition, right? Don't forget that's how we're able to do the dynamic input. So input equals to this, the edition that has been defined earlier. Edition that has been defined earlier is going to be week 1 of May 26, right? Then we print. I just going to have a decorative print statement there. Newsletter. Let me just put some exaggerated thing here. Right, so yeah, that's that. Yeah, before we now print the final output, which is result, right? So let me put a backward slash n here so that it creates a new line. 3 backward slash n. Okay, so let's go back to edit to look at our code once again. Here is a custom tool. Any error anywhere? No. I don't think there is. Okay. Agents. Okay. Have this as well. Okay. Okay, this looks great. Now let's print output statement. So we use 311. Script activates. Right. Okay. So that's that then. Run Python. Right. Uh, okay. So let's run this and see. Oh, looks like there's some error somewhere inside of crew. Agent has no attribute gets. Okay. Okay, 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 okay. Let's see what the error is about. Sorry, I think I made some mistake here. Oh, just look at me. Oh. So I made a mistake with this analysis task. Get that right? Analysis task. Yes, that's correct. So I think that's the only error there. Okay, yeah. So the agent has started running. So you can see. Okay, so it has started. So you can see here the first agent, which is the researcher. This is the task. So it's read this file part, and then you can see the story output from the file part. And you can see the output of the first researcher, the researcher agent. So you can see flutter wave, so. Then it completes its own task, then pass it on to the second, which is the business impact. So you can see the final output of the second agent as well. And down to the third agent, which is the writer, you can see its own final output. And then the senior editor, which is the last agent, so you're expected to see its own output as well. So the task of the last output is, review and polish the newsletter, um, using the time reading tool to also, okay, before we go there, so using the time read to read how long it takes to read a file, finally provide the quality score, the estimated time reading time, and then the final polished newspaper. So you can see this is the final polished newspaper, right? And the final polished newspaper is expected to be stored in newsletter 3. So you're going to open it up here. Oh no. newsletter 3, right? So yeah, this is it. So yes, this is the final polished newspaper. So you can see quality score is now over 10. You can see its estimated time is 3 minutes. And yeah, this is the newsletter, right, to read. So this brings us to the end of building AI agents with CrewAI. So I hope with this series, you've been able to learn very well how to use CrewAI to build AI agents in up to multi agent system level. I'll be glad to see what each and every one of you will be building out of this series of lectures. We'll meet again next time. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.